Hey ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? And as usual guys, I am OneManCast, the one man. And today's video is going to be a bit of a contestment. Not going to trash his opinion entirely, because everyone has a right to an opinion. But there are some fundamental problems I have with this here. I have a very, very severe problem with how he handled his own view of the worst Neptunia game. Like, here's the thing, man. The YellowSuperNintendo, you don't even understand what it means to be a worst game. By your own admission, you've proven to me, at the very least, and I may just be one man, but here's the thing: the value of an individual is not outweighed by the value of the collective. And quite frankly, there's just a few things I have to pick a bone with. Now, this isn't me flaming him, because this is a respectful disagreement, as you'll probably see in the title. It is a respectful disagreement, but, I kind of get a few things off of my chest. And it's a problem I've been having with the fan base from top to bottom. See, the problem with, this dude's worst Neptunia series is that it's heavily flawed. Like, when you're talking about something that's the worst, you kind of have to have actual backup for it. And you also can't contradict yourself. You can't contradict yourself mid-video. Like, here's the thing. He, in his own words, he admits to himself and to you that there are things of value in Neptunia. He blatantly admits it. To be able to discern the worst game, you have to be able to figure out for yourself how little a game has value. And I could argue day and night about which game is the worst. Because there is one game I would list as the worst in the Neptunia franchise, and that is Mega Tag Mention. Despite its heavy flaws, Neptunia is far from the worst game. Like, the two worst games I would say, in my view, is last place, Mega Tag, and second to last place, Victory. And the reason... here's the thing. I know a lot of you hate, Action U, for example, because Action U has no story, has lollies being, completely stripped, and all of this other esoteric nonsense, but you don't really understand or appreciate the value, the actually high rate value Action U has. You look at Mega Tag Mention, and you'll see 4, generally on average, possibly at max, with only barely moving lips, barely any transitions. But Action U Unleashed has 6 characters on a screen at once, 6 characters with moving lip flaps, constant changing in animations, and rotation of sprites, 2D sprites even. And that's actually impressive. It's one thing to have a rotation of 3D sprites, but it's another to do a rotation of 2D sprites while keeping animation quality up. In my view, that alone separates it from crap games like Victory and Mega Tag Mention. Mega Tag Mention is by far the worst, because it is the most shallow and hollow game you have played. And that's another thing I really take an annoyance with. is that says Neptunia does not take itself seriously. But I can list to you a plethora of games that takes it seriously. To be something that doesn't take itself seriously, you have to not have a serious plot. You have to not have a serious beginning or middle at all. And your entire appeal as a content, as a writer, not to a consumer, has to be pure comedy. But the problem with that is Neptunia has more than pure comedy / memes / references. In fact, that's a very small asset of it. Neptunia has a vast lore. A vast lore just in its own personal story, anime, game meta. Let alone all of the supplanting that the consoles and makers and game franchises are based upon. You can't just say something doesn't take itself seriously because it has a high amount of comedy, high amount of memes and references. There's a lot of those things out there. You want a good example of a story that doesn't take itself seriously? Motherfucking Bobobo. That is a fucking trip. It is an anime, mind you, that I fucking love. You see, what people don't seem to understand about me is that when I criticize something, it's not out of fucking hatred. I say Neptunia takes itself seriously because I tell the fucking truth. Neptunia has a serious plot in most of the games. More or less. In fact, that's the only reason why Victory is rated higher than Megatag, is because at times it has a serious end and or middle. Megatag Mention doesn't have that, because it's a cocksucking or a pussy licking of new type meme lords. The fact of the matter is, there's so many problems with Megatag Mention that makes it the worst. Megatag Mention, for starters, is a ripoff of Love Live, School Live, and High School of the Dead, all mixed together. It is a conglomeration of plagiarization, almost as bad as Dark Rose Valkyrie. It amazes me that you all can say they don't take it seriously when you have no evidence to refute, to back up your claim. Keep in mind that while Victory is canon, it's not the first fucking game. The first fucking game, even in the canon, was Mark II, and Mark II is probably the thesis for the most serious game that takes itself seriously. Problem with Megatag Mention is it's specifically sucking off the specific niche fans. There is no mainstream appeal to Megatag Mention. Even the people who would play it just to play with friends would be frustrated as hell. Because, let's face it, there are times where the glitching and issues with internet connection will have you beat a monster without giving them any drops. Which immediately is a problem in of itself. And here's the thing, I position Cyber Dimension very low as well, because Tamsoft is notorious for constantly degenerating over time. Their quality hasn't improved. Don't let the fancy text boxes and cheap CGs fool you. Hey man, I love that Blanc Princess Carrie scene. It's cute and sexy as fuck, and that goddamn camel toe from Blanc, but motherfucker, is it bad. Megatag Mention, even further, it has no value. Like, by objective rules. Like, it's not even, there's nothing by objective rules such as originality, integrity, which probably accompanies it, it accompanies the, originality. Things like, you know, keeping good game mechanics, which they're fucking not. Like, you literally push one or two buttons, and they're just a rehash of Action U, which are mechanics you supposedly fucking hate. Like, you can't have your cake and eat it too, guys. You're not me. You can't have your cake and eat it too, because quite fucking frankly, if you hate Action U's mechanics then, you have to hate Action U's mechanics now, because Action U's mechanics are still prevalent in Mega Tag Mission, but worse. Not only does it fail on the senses of integrity, originality, and mechanics, it fails on the aesthetic point, because it's not even, like, there's not even legit CGs, which are I'd say is one of the hallmarks. And jog my memory if there are, but I don't think they relied on CGs much. Oh, it might have been the Magical Noir Arena. I don't know. My memory is fuzzy because it's so fucking bland I wanted to tune it out. In the end, and here's the thing, it'd be one thing if I was the only one who felt that way, but there is a pretty small collective group of us, for those of you who need majority fallacy to feel, you know, validated. There's a solid portion of us who fucking hate it and fucking get it. We get why it sucks, and they get why I say it does. And they agree. Not because they're brainwashed, but because they came to the same conclusion. And by far, like, not even hyper devotion or producing perfection come even close. Another issue I have with YellowSuperNintendo is, you know, besides the, you know, not taking things seriously, you know, the fact that, you know, even though he gives it a lot of positive points, that he somehow rates, you know, the original Neptunia the worst, even though I'd say it's down the middle, is that he has incomplete information. He was half right about, you know, reusing things and being from Trinity Universe. It's not the exact predecessor, though. Trinity Universe is done by Nisa. Nisa and Gust and Idea Factory and Compile Heart. However, it was not the direct predecessor, nor is the actual direct predecessor. Trinity Universe isn't the only one it ripped off. I want to take you back, and while I would love to bring clips, I think it's less sufficient to do it that way, because, well, quite frankly, it takes a lot more editing time, and I want to crank some of these videos out quicker. Basically, there's a lot of background scenes. There are hotels, like the hotel rooms in, like, Planetoon they'll be at. It's a hotel room scene in Record of August War Zero. The forest scenes in the Neptunia area, ripped off from the forest areas in August as well. What else? Oh, yeah, the town scenes. Generally, the town scenes ripped off from Generation 2, 3, and 4. What else? What other scenes? There are a few other scenes that are probably not coming to mind. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that for now. But if you play the game, if you both play Neptunia and Record of August War, which is, I'm going to trigger a lot of you people with this, but fucking hell, Record of August War is a superior franchise. Period. End of story. Better game mechanics. Better story. And fucking no toxicity whatsoever. That's the beautiful thing about small niche communities. And not middle-sized or higher-sized niche communities. They keep things respectful. And that no matter what the disagreements are, the rules, regulations, and respect are just plain out there. You know, that we accept the fact that even if we disagree, we're not going to give each other a shitstorm. We're not going to block each other on Twitter just because someone on Twitter presents overwhelming evidence. It boggles my mind sometimes how toxic the fan base can be. Anyways, before I get further distracted, the fact of the matter is that, you know, there's a lot of different assets that Compile Heart and Idea Factory rip off. Fucking Vermilion Satanio were also from Augrist. I don't know if Trinity Universe came before Augrist, but I think it's around the same time. Check the double check on that for me. But you know, there's a lot of things. The reason why I mentioned these CGs and this other stuff is that he can't even. Not only can he not be consistent. Not only can he not be consistent in trying to portray Neptunia as one of the worst games, he also can't. And not only can he not portray what the actual worst game is, or what standards that make a worst game, he also can't project enough information and research. If you're going to call out a game franchise for asset flipping, you're gonna have to, you know, do a little bit more than play maybe, you know, 50% or 100% of Trinity Universe. You're gonna have to play Augrist 1, Record of Augrist War, the original, Record of Augrist War 0, and Record of Augrist War 2. These things provide context for asset flipping. You cannot solely credit it just because of a wiki. Oftentimes, wikis are either based on hearsay or have incomplete information. I literally memorize everything I learn, and I know when I see a goddamn ripoff. Fuck, my biggest problem with Dark Rose Valkyrie is the same problem with, you know, Mega Tag Mention, and I haven't even mentioned the other issues with Mega Tag Mention, but I'm going to save that for my Mega Tag Mention review. But the thing is, YellowSuperNintendo, I haven't watched your other worst games in a franchise yet, what gimmick that you're doing, but as far as I'm concerned, my respectable disagreements have led me to thinking you're 0-1. Now, I respect your work. I like the fact that you dedicate time and passion to the Neptunia franchise. I'm more calling out your work than calling you out. That's just how I am with a lot of people. I don't call them out. And when I disagree with them or say they're wrong, it's not to invalidate them. It's the fact that they're objectively wrong. And their own egos cannot handle it, so they will falsely label it subjective. But there are generally objective rules you can use as a whole to judge the content in the script you put out. And the inconsistencies you brought out invalidate your video. And I'm not even saying this to be an asshole either, even though that's probably exactly how I'm going to be portrayed. Or not portrayed, portrayed, my tongue's tied. But in general, you're 0-1 on this one, buddy. I have evidence. Like, I didn't even mention how bad the story is outside of the plagiarization. But I'll mention that in the Mega Tag review I'll eventually do. But other than that, I do appreciate the level of quality. Oh, and hell, oh, by the way, you'll have an awesome fucking collection of Neptunia limited editions. Props to you for that, because that's got to rack up in the thousands. Like, most of the games I see for special editions are fetching anywhere around from $80 to $100 at least. So, you know, mad respect to you there. I don't have that kind of money. So, you know, it's not like I don't respect you or your work. It's just that I think you are entirely off base. And I think I've given you sufficient reasonings as to why. But in the end, up to you. You know, if you ever want, you can join me in the comment section. We can discuss this. I consider myself a fair and rational adult, even though sometimes I make mistakes. So, you know, if you disagree, hey, we'll speak about it in the comment section. And hey, maybe somewhere down the line, if we build a more respectful business, respectful business model between the two of us, hey, why not do a collab? You know, it's not like I don't appreciate differing views. In fact, I welcome it so much that I get an addiction rush off of it. Because there's nothing more engaging than verbal combat. Verbal combat, because comparing ideologies, comparing beliefs, and comparing things we are passionate about is a fun experience. So, I hope that, hey, if you do actually watch this, that maybe, just maybe, you'll enjoy it, and if you disagree, leave a comment. With that said, enough of my enough of my rambling on. And yes, a couple of these videos are going to be rambles, because, I'm going to be doing scripted reviews, but I'm also going to be doing some of the other discussion videos and which one did it better videos. Because I kind of want to get these things out quicker. I know I've been inconsistent in this regard, and I do apologize for that. Because, sometimes I'll write a script, sometimes I won't. And, when I do write a script, I have a hard time continuing eye contact with the camera because of my setup. And, well, when I don't, I tend to be disorganized and rambling. That being said, I respect your rights to believe, Mr. YellowSuperNintendo, that it's the worst game somehow, some way for the original Neptunia. And just like I respect your view, you have to respect the fact that, yeah, well, you're wrong. I mean, literally objective evidence proves you're wrong. But I don't ever think any less of you guys. That's the thing. I care enough about you guys that no matter how much I disagree and know you may be wrong objectively, I'm still going to think of you the same. And that's never going to change. So, don't feel bad about yourselves. Don't feel guilty for liking things that are bad. I mean, the term guilty pleasure exists for a reason. If you feel guilt for it, then it's a guilty pleasure. But there's, a meaning to the word pleasure. Because it would just be guilt otherwise. So, do not think I think less than any of you, because I have my guilty pleasures. I fucking love Gochiusa and Bobobo. So, I'm not going to judge the fact your guilty pleasures. I'm going to just judge your taste in games. So it's not a hit piece on YellowSuperNintendo. I just think that because of legitimate objective evidence, he's completely wrong. So, before I get repetitive, it is time for me to chill out. Consider liking the video, and if you don't like it and dislike it, that's fine. But don't do it anonymously. Just give me a why you disliked it. I mean, sure, my rambliness can be a bit annoying, and so can the repetitiveness, but this is just me spitballing out of my memory. This is not me putting in scripts. A lot of this is unscripted. Woo! Anyways, basically, I think that for, disagreements, whether respectful or not, I think they're best done in real time, in some way, shape, or form. I don't feel like making a script. When making a script kind of feels hollow and forced. I want you to see me in the nature, in the wild, as I profess, personal views based off of, objective evidence. So, that's the thing. I have not personally played, never personally played Trinity Universe. I've seen some videos of it, and I hear it's a good thing. But as it is, I think that, coupled with the research, I think his research is incomplete. So like the video. If you don't like the video and you click the dislike, give me a reason why in the comment section. Speak up in the comment section regardless, whether you approve or disapprove of my opinion. If you're new, subscribe. And you're interested in my content in the future, subscribe. Click that bell as well, because what's the point of the subscribe button anymore if you're not going to get notifications and stuff in your feed. So click the bell to make sure you get notified of my content immediately. And if I may suggest something, if you have Windows 10, I really do suggest you turn on your notifications to your computer. because the moment you do, you get to be some of the first to go and see my videos, or just videos for anyone. So let me know if you need help in that regard. And as not only would I appreciate you clicking the bell for more of my one-man content, there's a couple of things I also have a plug in. Please do consider following me on Twitch at OneManCast. I have the gimmick of Atelier Queen right now, which is a fun gimmick in of itself. Basically, it's the road to one Atelier Queen being the Atelier Queen. Basically platinuming the entire franchise that has trophies, just like I did for the Neptunia franchise. I don't know why I picked that gimmick. I don't think anyone needs to. I think I might eventually start streaming Assassin's Creed on Fridays. I think that's what I might go with eventually. So, check me on the Twitch if you want to see Atelier streams and see why I like Atelier, because I can make an entire video rambling on about Atelier. And consider following me on Twitter at OneManCast346, because quite frankly, even though there may be a lot of political stuff, I do still retweet and like occasional anime shit. So, don't judge when, I'm a pro-Trump guy, because I have unorthodox reasons that you'll probably never believe in, and yada yada yada. And well, following me on Twitter, gets to help you see, different sides of me. Because, I don't think y'all see some of the different sides of me. And the best ways to feel more connected with with the one man, the YouTuber you're watching, the best places to do that are Twitter and my Discord, which you can just find by just looking on my channel page, because it's literally the first logo on the right that you find. So with that, guys, this has been a shitstorm. I am one man. And to YellowSuperNintendo and his fans, no hard feelings. And to everyone else, actually just everyone, not just everyone else, but everyone, ODYSSEY.